I will not bring you to the deepest level of accounting. But what you have to understand first is that each one of you is reflected by accounting by every transaction he's using by his bank account. So you trust your bank that the accountant makes the right work. And this trust is also trusted and powered by law that you can trust your bank account. That's why you can use a bank card and you can pay with. And when you go one step before, that needs to be compliant. What means to be compliant? That you are in the law, you are work in the law. Of course, it would be no problem for the accountant to say, okay, I put 10,000 euro from your bank account. It's just a transaction, nothing more, but it's not compliant. It's against law. And when you now think, okay, we talk about blockchain now. What is blockchain? It's at the end of the fact. It's collection of transactions. It's starting with the Genesis block, or Genesis block, I should say in German. I don't know if the English is correct. And it collects all transactions from the first beginning, the initial transaction, until now. And it shows all balances of all holders of this token. That's the main difference between your bank account. I think no one of you likes that your bank account is shown in public. Maybe yes, maybe not. Sometimes it would help, sometimes not. But I think most people avoid to be in public with this bank account. And as the two boys in the morning told, it's dangerous to tell everybody that you are rich, especially in Europe. As I was last week in Dubai, it's not the same problem. And the people, when you are talk to them, they are not really in fear. So if you maybe you buy as a woman, you buy a little case. They have no problem that this case is open. They have no zipper because no one will steal the money from it. And that's why blockchain is a different thing. First thing is, it's talking about truth. And the truth, it's starting from the beginning until now. It's not telling your truth. You can say, okay, that's not my truth, but you can do like it would be yours, but someone can prove it. And that's a thing on decentralized finance, that some others prove that you are really the one who says, okay, I have the money. And that's the topic of accounting at the end. Because we have one problem, we have the blockchain, and it tells us two stories about transactions. And then we have the German government, and he says, I like to tax it. And the Polish government said, I like to tax it too. And the United States says, I have a different framework, I like to tax it too. And that's why we need a transaction, and we need a translation of this transaction. And as last year, I told here, that most projects don't think about taxes and accounting. Because blockchain, at the end, is only accounting. There's nothing more, it's programming, and it's a blockchain, it's just accounting. But if you like to be compliant, that means that your accounting is not reversible. So you can't change it. With Bitcoin, it's a 51% attack, then you can change it, but otherwise not. And the German government in this year said, how about the idea, if you like to be compliant with your Bitcoin transactions, we still think that you should be compliant from the first day of Bitcoin, you have your first Bitcoin. But in the same moment, they forget that we have no solution for it. And that's a deep shift with the crypto adoption in the real life, but it's adoption with all blockchain problems at the end. And Anastasia told us about AI. AI could be able to translate it to good data for governments. That could work, maybe. If it's not hallucinating, it could work. But usually, our frameworks are not made for these new projects. The governments are really slow in adopting, and usually they try, okay, that was Bitcoin, just a tiny little thing. Now, okay, it's a 10th part of the most wealthy things in the world, okay, maybe we should think about it. But first they think about taxation, and they don't think about compliance. And the United States, India, and some other countries has a framework for it. And Germany especially is trying to say, I have 4 possibilities what a Bitcoin is. That's 4 definitions in one 30 pages paper. First they say it's virtual assets, then they say it's a virtual, it's like a right, then they say, okay, it's a material thing, and at least say okay, it's like an asset. So what it is? And I think that's the main point. If you say, okay, I like to be compliant, that means that the government knows what the compliance needs. And that's the most governments forget. And that's why it's not so easy to be compliant and be in crypto accounting. And the other thing is that now for the rules, Nina will also talk, I think, about this, the MiCA rules and the traveler rules. Today not? Okay, okay. So what's the problem for a company who's really successful with crypto assets? The proof of funds. We have now a process that a company was really successful. They earned millions, but they made the mistakes. They put it to Panama. And I don't know if you know what is a blacklist for a bank account. That means no money is going to other countries. So it could be a billionaire in Panama, and if you like to send a $10 bill to Europe, you would have a problem. They would say, no, I don't like your money. And then they freeze it. And the freeze is a big problem because you like to be compliant, but you can't be compliant with our rules. If you have no rules, the government can say all banks are ought to freeze your money until it's compliant. But you can't be compliant. And that's a big problem from the virtual money because we had a client who sent 40 Bitcoin to Kraken. But she has no proof of funds. And what was Kraken telling her? Please send proof of funds to us. Until it's done, we freeze your 40 Bitcoins. And it was worth, some time ago, it was just worth 1.6 million as she tried to send it. And after 4 weeks, Kraken said, now it's done. Now it was worth 1.2 million. So compliant was she paying 400,000 euro for it. That was not our fees. That was only bad luck. It could be 2 million of free. If she would have not sold it, it would be much more. But she didn't know. And that's a problem with compliance, that you have money, you are very rich, and if you don't think about accounting before you do something with it, you have big problems. It's the same in Europe, in the United States, and maybe most countries of the world. And that's the main point that we think we need the translation from the blockchain to the accounting. If you think about it, and you think it's now 15 years ago that the first Bitcoin was on the market. We celebrate Bitcoin Day and everything like that. But most cryptocurrencies are not able to be accounted. And the NFT projects, I don't talk about it. I don't talk about NFTs. How about NFTs in this world? Would you account with VAT if you sell an NFT? Would you say, I have to account it with VAT or not? That makes 90% difference. Do you have a profit or not? And so accounting is really main because it destroys good projects if we are not able to be compliant. And that's why I think it's necessary for the proof of funds concept that each project should be ought, if it's on the market, it should have a proof of concept, and if we exchange, should deliver data. And we don't think about standards, and you had this little tiny cable, and you remember the USB, that was the most successful thing in computers because we had so many different, and I think the blockchain industry always forget that it was a success. It's not about money, it's not about the value of the Bitcoin, it's just of being compliant and we have standards. And that's not only for AI and for security, it's also for accounting because we have a team and they are really going deep into the blockchain. And I think we are the little company who has the deepest level of going into the blockchain for accounting in Germany and maybe in Austria too. But we are not able to go in maybe the 8th blockchain. So the Solana blockchain, we had found some solutions. And when we now go further and we say on Bitcoin, you have a rune on Bitcoin. That's simple as Satoshi. Is Satoshi an asset? Yes. But what's the rune? And if you say, okay, I have an NFT on Ethereum, is it the same asset as an Bitcoin? Sorry. There's also something like an NFT of Bitcoin. It's an ordinal, sorry. And the ordinals are only code. The ordinal doesn't exist. You can show it on your screen, but it's code. The Ethereum NFT is a picture. So different assets. Is it the same for taxation? Is it the same in accounting? I think no. And that's why we need standards and we need frameworks. But most countries refuse. Even Germany has no framework for DeFi, no framework for NFT, no framework for paying salary in crypto. And that's a big problem because no adoption without framework. You can only trust as a company in a technology like this if we have a framework for it. And that's why I think it's main. We have with Streetfolio, we work on a solution for whole Europe with Bitcoin accounting and also Ethereum and everything like that. But just imagine it may be 1.2 million protocols in this world now. How should we account it? It's very impossible. So we need standards for it because each new project brings some problems. And the next point is unrealized profits. Do you remember the United States? Some governors say, we like to tax unrealized profits, and the world was crying. But is it good or bad? In Germany, we can deduct our taxes with not realized losses in companies. And we are lucky that we don't have to pay taxes on unrealized gains. But is it good or bad? Some people like to say, okay, I can show my profit, even if it's not unrealized. And that would mean that Bitcoin is a currency. But who of you would agree with me that Bitcoin is a currency? Even the lawyers here in the room. I will not bomb this discussion. But that has a big effect because in Germany, I can say if it's a currency, I had to show my profits because it's ordered by law. So if the value is increasing, I had an unrealized profit that I have to show, but not for taxes. And that's only a little glimpse of think about accounting when you found a new project and think like you with your bank, think that the people and the companies need perfect stuff for accounting. Otherwise, they can't deal with you, then they can't trust you, and they have much higher expenses maybe than they earn. That's a little tiny from my life about accounting, being compliant, and everything like that. I hope it was not too long. 30 minutes saved. Thank you.
Matthias, thank you so much for the insights. I think most of us are not that much aware of what compliance means in accounting and especially in technology. So are there any questions you'd like to ask? Anything, now the expert is here. Yeah.
Perhaps, Matthias, a question regarding the quantity of transactions. If you run something like a botnet, yeah, and you create a lot of wallets during runtime, and you have transactions here and there in Satoshi, yeah, after the comma, so the digit number 16 or something, yeah. Regarding tax, how do you want to solve this problem? Better not to run the botnet?
I'd suggest our government, and I figured out how much it costs the government to check this. And just to imagine what Germany has to pay for checking the taxes from private investors for 2025. What do you think? What will be the expenses for the government to check all crypto transactions like they did in the past for the government? What do you think? How many money they will have to take and how many employees will they need to check the crypto transactions from the German taxpayers? What do you think? And how much will be the cost for the private investors? It's about 1 billion euro. It's 1 billion euro to pay for coin tracking, block pit, and for the public servants. It takes 350 million euro for the government to check this data. 350 million only to check it. And I don't think that they get so much taxes for it, because we have a tax rule that is tax-free after 1 year. So checking of this little tiny transaction, and we have one client, I give you a tax hack, okay? If you're in Germany and you think about staking, how about a staking protocol where you earn less than 1 cent per each transaction? You have to count each transaction, and the value is 0 for tax measures. How about 10,000 transactions with 0.9 cent staking reward per second? 10,000 per second, that's money. So we have a client who has 2.5 million transactions with 0. So the government gets 0 taxes. But he's earning much money. That's a tax hack. It's about stupid taxation. I tell the government, and what do you think? What's the answer? Interesting idea, but not worth to think about it. And so I say to the government, how about not taxation every transaction that's less than 100 euro? Because the expenses to check it are much higher than the taxes. And what's it, the right? We like to tax each second. And I say to them, there is no possibility to check the value of a token in seconds. There is no possibility in the whole world, because when you use CoinMarketCap in the past, you can only check the day, but not the second. And if you lose CoinGecko, maybe you get 20 minutes, but never a second. And that's why they like to be stupid. That's why we need good models. And that's why I have a client, and I told yesterday to someone, we had a client who has 2.5 million transactions per year. He's earning more than 4 million euros per year. So he's very successful. And the tax officer told us that we have to bring all data to the fiscal authority. There's one problem. You can only send a PDF in one piece with 100 pages. So 2.5 million transactions are more than 100 pages. So we told them, okay, we have to send maybe 25,000 emails to you. So if you like, you have to put it together afterwards, otherwise you will not understand it. And they say, you can print it to us. And I say, we can send it to you, but we take a press officer from a newspaper, and he is bringing this container to you. And we bring 3 years to you, because then it's a 40-feet container and it's full. Just good luck. And then they allowed us to send an USB stick. And now, after half a year, they wrote us that they are not able to open. So that's taxation of millionaires in Germany. And he came from UK, so he is used to pay taxes, always. And he said, they are really stupid here. Yes, of course. I think the zero's best strategy for paying no taxes is have less than 1 cent income. As much as you can. And it works. With some protocols, it works really perfect. So it can be a really rich one with paying no taxes. I think it would work all over the world. Yes, that's taxation on its highest level. Don't earn anything. Is loud enough?
No, I will hand it over the mic for that.
I just want to refer to a previous question, and I just want to know if I'm wrong. By just transferring crypto, it's not creating worth, right? It's not creating profit. So it's not a subject to taxation. Am I wrong? Because there was an example when creating like hundreds or thousands transactions, right? But by transferring just crypto from first wallet to second wallet, it's not creating worth or profit. So is it subject to taxation?
If it's only a transfer, there's no taxation in Germany. But I can't speak for all over the world. And according to Isat Begum yesterday, it would be taxed. And I think it could make sense to take a little tax on each transaction, because of this was, I forget her name, the daughter of Katerina? Marlene, I'm sorry. And for environment aspects, it would make much sense to tax each transaction. And in Poland, like this, they take a transaction fee of 1%. So each transaction gives 1% taxes. They have a flat tax of 90%, but so they avoid that too many transactions are on the board. And every transaction takes energy, it takes power, and so it could make sense for environment matters and other things that to tax it.
I would like to say it's amazing what we've heard, what we've learned today so far about taxation. Matthias, thank you so much for your insights. Give him a warm applause, please. Thank you so much. Ich danke dir.